Hello everyone and welcome to this video lecture on physical making. Today we're going to look at the different types of digital fabrication tools that we have available to us, namely the 3D printer, the laser cutter and the CNC mill. The first thing we want to understand, which is critical to our tool path here, or our type of tool, is whether or not we're dealing with subtractive or additive construction. Subtractive construction is when we have a piece of material and we're taking away from that material, i.e. carving away from it using either a laser beam or a cutting bit, or we have additive construction where, you guessed it, we're adding bits and pieces together using some sort of material, in this case, plastics. You could think of the image we have here as an example of the difference between subtractive and additive construction. On the left, if we imagine orange to be a sheet of material, we're using the laser or the CNC to carve away and find the white that's in the background, and then we leave behind the lettering, which is laser cutting, or the lettering CNC milling. The opposite, on the right hand side, we see additive construction. There's nothing there on the plane and that's all white, and then orange is what we're adding to that plane, and then we have, once again, 3D printing, but now the inverse. So lasers and CNCs start with a piece of material and then cut things out, and then we just keep the bits that we want and throw away the rest, whereas 3D printers will print out the material that we want rather than starting from an object. So we see in this system, additive construction has a lot less waste material. Logically to me then, the future of construction and architecture is probably additive. At least I hope so. Alright, so that's the difference between subtractive and additive construction. Now let's have a look at each of the different types of digital fabrication tools. Let's start with laser cutting. Okay, so when we're laser cutting, we have three different ways that the laser cutter can interact with material. We have engraving, scoring, and cutting. Engraving is where we slowly etch away the material. You can think of it like a fill or a solid hatch in AutoCAD, where we're carving the entirety of that shape out. So these blue diamonds that we have here, they're set to engrave. We're going to carve that entire diamond shape out of this material, but it's not going to go all the way through. It's only going to go part way into the material depending on our settings. Red is our score. So scoring is just like when we're modeling, we're going to cut a little bit into the material, but not all the way through to the other side. So the material will stay intact, but it will have these lines scored into it. And then finally, we have cuts. So we can cut all the way through the material now, and I'm doing both a cut around the entire object, as well as these smaller cuts inside here. Don't mind the colors here. I've set up these colors myself, and every laser cutter will interpret colors and lines differently. So these are just an example to show you what we're doing now. Let's have a look and see how this comes out in our laser cutter. Alright, so I've taken that file through to my laser cutter and made a little time-lapse video here so that you can see what happens for each part. At the moment, we're cutting out those fills by doing an engrave into the material. Now we're doing the score marks, and you see that it's not going all the way through, it's just scoring. And now we're doing our cut as we go around, and the smaller cuts to make that little screen down the bottom. Fun, fun, fun. Let's have a look at the finished product. Okay, so here it is here, and I'll go ahead and pull it out of the material, and you see it comes out pretty cleanly. We have the screen, the score, and the fill inside here. And if we put it down, we can see that it's cut all the way through. We have very, very fine cuts there. The scores have not gone all the way through, and the fills have etched down with our engraving to make those little pockets inside the shape. And there we have it. We started with a sheet material, we cut away, we engraved away, and we scored away, and we were left with a product we can then use in our architectural systems. Okay, so that's cutting, engraving, and scoring with our laser cutter. Let's have a look at the other type of subtractive technology that we can use for digital fabrication, CNC milling. So first things first, CNC just stands for Computer Numerical Control. It means that we've got some sort of machining tool set on an axis of parallel bars that can move in the X direction, the Y direction, and the Z direction. Laser cutters and 3D printers are also CNCs, but the CNC mill was around first, so is often referred to as the CNC. The only real difference between the three machines is the type of tool we have at the head of the moving arms. In this case, instead of a laser at the head, we see a cutting drill bit. So the drill bit is moving really fast, rotating, and on the drill bit, it has cutting blades. Now, if we have a smaller bit, we're going to end up with smaller cuts, and we have a thick bit here, which is going to end up with thick cuts. So the width of the bit determines how much we carve away each time we pass through the material. Now, the big difference between a CNC and a laser, of course, is that a laser is very thin as it's cutting through. So we're not losing much material each time it passes. The CNC, however, the thickness of the bit is the amount of material we're going to lose as we go through. So why would you want to use a big CNC then, I hear you asking? If we're going to waste all this material that's probably expensive as we pass a big fat drill bit through it, why wouldn't we just use a laser cutter, which is much thinner? We will waste less material. We can put our designs closer together. Why wouldn't we just do that? Well, at the end of the day, a laser is limited by the thickness of the material it can cut through. In order to cut through 3mm, 6mm, that's okay. We can use a relatively efficient laser, but it's exponential, the growth. So the thicker we get, the more and more power it consumes to have a laser get through that material. So there comes a point where the thickness of the material means that really it would be more cost effective and more energy efficient to use a cutting bit. So typically projects that are bigger, things like furniture or larger scale items, will be done with a CNC. Smaller details and more intricate things where we need to have elements really close together, like that geometry I showed cutting out of my laser before, that you would use in a laser cutter. Another asset that a CNC has that a laser doesn't though is the Z-axis. So we can carve away in different levels on our Z plane. That means we end up with a three-dimensional geometry we're carving away, whereas a laser cutter can only carve in the 2D plane. So take the religious connotation away from what we're seeing here, we end up with a three-dimensional relief of what's going on in this image by Da Vinci. Not only does this pushing and pulling away from the material mean we can create three-dimensional reliefs, it also means we can add curvature as we're starting to cut down. We don't have to cut directly down through the material, we can cut on a curve through the material. So that's the beauty of having the third axis in our CNC, but wait, there's more! We now have a 5-axis CNC. So what that means is not only do we have left, right, up and down, we also have rotation in our bits as well. So we can create all sorts of interesting and intricate geometries by turning our material as we cut through it, as we can see here. So no longer are we limited to carving through a flat plane with only curvature coming from our Z-axis. We can also create all sorts of curvature, as you can see here, creating a motorcycle helmet from one solid piece of material. Isn't that amazing? So we can see how this could be used to create some pretty amazing models and geometry for architecture. Now we can create amazing and sophisticated curvature with really fine detail. So that's CNCing in a nutshell. We're taking a solid block of material and then carving away from it using a rotating, spinning, cutting bit, and we can create all sorts of three-dimensional, very interesting geometry. And you know what else creates amazing 3D geometry? 3D printers. Let's have a look. So again, just a reminder that 3D printers are a little different from our lasers and CNCs because they are additive. We're taking a material and we're adding it together to create our object, like we see here, layer by layer, to create a three-dimensional model rather than cutting away from something. So 3D printers work by taking a material and laying down very thin slices, one layer at a time, one plane at a time, and then doing that over and over again until we create our three-dimensional geometry. Now, because we're dealing with 3 dimensions rather than just cutting away from an existing material, we have to also think about what's going on inside the model. So we've got a decision to make. We can make this entire thing solid and fill out every single part with our material that we're using, or we can do what's called scaffolding, which makes a hollow inside with different scaffolded elements connecting parts together so that they don't fall in on themselves. And this is a more efficient way to use your material, and we have less wastage, it's a lot faster, and it's a lot less heavy as well. And so typically that's what you'll find in 3D printing process. Now 3D printing is advancing extremely quickly right now. We're seeing a lot of new innovations in the types and methods of 3D printing. At the moment in architecture, we have three main types of 3D printing which are particularly relevant for us and the type of work that we are doing. This of course will change as things adapt, and I personally believe that the Potterbot and other things like this, where we can make any of our own materials work for us, is the future. But right now let's focus on the three main types. So first up, we have fused filament fabrication. And this is the typical type of 3D printing that you will have seen many people these days have on their desktop at home. We have a roll of filament wire, usually made of PLA, which is the plastic, in a bright color, which gets fed down into the print head, which is very hot, put down layer by layer, and eventually we have a model. The next type is stereolithography apparatus, SLA for short, and this is where we invert the process. Instead of having a head dropping material down, we have a tank of resin with a laser underneath it, and wherever the laser fires, that particular part of resin becomes solid rather than liquid. And this is happening thousands of times a minute, if not tens of thousands of times. And so slowly, as we move the resin tank, we end up with a solid 3D print. We're pulling it up out of the base rather than extruding it from the base upwards. And then finally, SLS printing, or selective laser sintering, is one I'm particularly excited about because there is a lot of reusable material here. So here, instead of using the plastics or the resin, what we're using is a powdered ingredient. And so similar to the SLA, what we're doing is we're using a laser to fire the powdered particles, and wherever the laser hits, we end up with a solid unit. Where this is more interesting is, instead of having to use scaffolding to make sure our parts don't fall in on themselves, we actually just use the powder that's already sitting there as part of the tray. And so what happens at the end of the process is we can simply pull the model out of the powder and blow the powder out of the interior, so we end up with a very lightweight component without all of the interior scaffolding. It also means that we can create joinery inside the 3D printing, and so we don't need to make parts separately and add them together later. We can see how parts can go together right there in the SLS print. This opens up a world of opportunity for us, as now we can have moving parts in our architectural models. Now we can generate screens that are reactive, architectural panels that respond to given conditions. So that's the three main types of digital fabrication tools that we have available to us right now. We've got our subtractive tools, the laser cutter and the CNC, and we've got our additive tools in all the different types of 3D printing process. So the question becomes now, with you and what you're working on in your architectural project and your prototyping needs, do you want to laser cut with your cutting, scoring, engraving? Do you want to CNC with your milling and your three-dimensional carving opportunities? Or do you want to make an additive piece of work where you're using 3D printing technology to bring your schemes to life? The answer is up to you.